client go?
I have.
Yeah. How'd it go?
Yeah. It was terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
there've been, I've had some, uh, I've had some situations where I got into trouble with clients, and then it's more of a mutual decision.
Yeah.
Or and not into trouble in as in I deliver just like communication, like misunderstandings
Hmm.
back and forth. But no, I once had a client and I did some work with her, and after sort of the first thing I did for her, I was like, this isn't gonna work. Like,
Hmm.
and it's kind of scary because it's money, right? Um, and it would be a long sort of, it was when I was a VA, and it would have been sort of a long-term collaboration.
Hmm.
But I was like, I cannot, her communication style is like, I'm not getting the information I need. And then, and then, but, but she expects me to have understood what she meant
Yeah.
without her saying it. Like, and I
Yeah.
was like, this is going to provide so much stress because not only am I going to have to redo stuff all the time
Hmm.
because I haven't understood what she meant, or because she wasn't clear. Like, I think this is, I'm you've been a VA. I'm sure that you can relate to this.
Hmm.
Like, when a client thinks they know what they want, but they
Hmm.
don't,
Yes.
that's the ones that you need to just walk away from, because
Yeah.
it's gonna just be, and when they're not open to you providing clarity, right? Like,
Mm.
I I don't mind going back and forth with a client, but either they need to know absolutely what they want and be able to articulate that so that I can do it for them, or they need to be open to my input
Yeah.
to provide that clarity. And if it's anything else, I can't work it.
Yeah. I mean, this was a topic I chose for Flat Whites with Friends because of the transition I had from last year,
Mm-hmm.
where I actively chose to let clients go because AI was changing the game in terms of what software was doing. And there was this misunderstanding about what it would do for businesses. Like it was like having AI wasn't going to magically make some sort of new sales funnel magically appear
Yes,
and
it
start
will.
working.
It will also write all of the amazing content.
It was, I just don't know what happened, but I really was getting disillusioned by there was lack of a plan, or as you say, like you're just not sure where they want to go, but expecting you to be able to like almost mind read what
Yes.
to do. And and I was just like, I don't want to be in this space where you're constantly guessing whether you're right or not, but then getting told that you're wrong from not being able to read the situation. I'm like, it's
Exactly this.
yeah.
Exactly this.
And I think this is why I'm trying to do workflows now because how many people just don't have that overall vision of what their business really is right now is it's absolutely crazy. But it happens
Well,
all
and to be honest, that if you lack the clarity, if we can just touch on AI for a second, if you lack that clarity and you start inputting stuff into AI that it's just going to get less clear.
yeah, yeah. It does muddy planning and it does muddy your strategy. I think if you're unsure about where you want to go and you're sort of, blindly throwing things out, I mean, that tactic does not work. And I think there's this misunderstanding of the online space about people faking it, saying, "Yeah, I did this and it was amazing and I made all this money and it was incredible." A lot of that is untrue because
Mm-hmm.
it's clickbait. But it you've got to read between the lines of a lot of that stuff. And I think for people who don't know that it's going to be fake, they think, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't you doing that?" And it's you kind of you're sort of, I guess, trying to help people in a way that their understanding, your understanding are going to be misaligned anyway. But just trying to move forward in that space is it's like walking through treacle. You
Yeah.
sort of really trying to push forward in this really difficult environment, with the understanding that well, other people have done it, so why can't we? And
Yeah.
I think that I mean, I've had instances where I've let clients go because of communication breakdown. I've
Mhm.
also had clients let me go because of communication breakdown. And it was, I think when we're in this environment, sometimes we hold on too much to things that we know aren't probably safe or, beneficial for us because of the money, and sometimes I believe in the project so much that I don't want to let it go.
Mhm.
But it's the reality of a lot of misinformation these days. People having these misunderstandings about what direction they want to go in and just expecting things to happen. And I think also the changes in systems and infrastructure is really causing problems for people, that they're having to invest more. They're experimenting with ads, and there's a whole lot of stuff going into this where you've got a lot more unknowns. I think
Mhm.
business was pretty, I think 30, 40 years ago, business operated in a very structured way. Now there's so many avenues that you can go down to run a business, and it really does muddy the water.
Yeah. And I think there's too many people who want to do everything, and that's impossible. So
Mm.
it's also about like, it's not just about picking the clients that suit you best, but it's also about the systems and the way, like, this is exactly what setting up shop is all about, right? It's like, what questions do you need to ask so that you end up with the right people, the right tools, the right strategies that work for you? Because like you say, the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless. And I've said this for a long time as well, with people who are like doing their social media, and they feel like they have to be on all the platforms. And I'm like, you can't be on all the platforms because you can't engage with all the platforms. So,
Yeah.
pick one or two.
Yeah.
Where and pick the ones where you feel comfortable spending some time as well. Because if you hate, like, I always say, like, I hate being on Facebook. Absolutely hate it. It drains me dry. So
Mhm.
I don't do much on Facebook. Actually, I don't do anything on Facebook
Mhm.
because I don't want to spend time there anyway. So I'm not going to be interacting with people.
Yeah.
And it's social media. It's not just send your shit to it media.
Mhm. Well, let's talk about feedback a little bit too, because I think this is also a part of what happens when you make that decision to separate from a client or circumstances. Um, and I've just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Well, you were talking about feedback, but I think,
You.
like, what in one of the instances, at the very least, where I parted ways with a client because of miscommunication, there was I had, what I contributed to that breakdown of communication was that we didn't set clear expectations. We
Mm,
didn't boundary what I was going to do sufficiently. So then
yeah.
it cost more than she had expected, and then, and everything just kind of collapsed from there. Because we talked about like an hourly rate and blah blah blah, but we hadn't established, okay, so how many hours
Yeah.
can I work on this for you? It was fairly early on in my business, and I learned a lot from it. Um, but I think it's these moments where we need to check in with clients, but also with ourselves, right? Like, what is the feedback that I'm getting? We spoke about procrastination, right? And that being data. Like, when we don't want to work on a project, why not?
Mm,
What is it about that project that is making us drag our feet? What is the feedback that I'm getting from that?
yeah.
And
I'm
does
gonna
it have to do with the client, or does it have to do with the fact that, I don't know, it's raining outside?
I'm gonna have a bit more coffee. I need to wake up a bit more.
Did I say too many
Yeah.
awake things? This is, oh, here's my
Nice.
coffee.
Very swish. Yeah, and I think feedback also comes where I had clients that were too busy and they would cancel calls,
Mhm.
and I wasn't getting enough understanding of whether the direction that we were taking was in line with what their expectations were or not. But also, I think people go into agreements with clients without having anything written down. Like there's no formalized structure. It still happens now, and I really worry for people who they commit to something with clients that isn't documented, so it doesn't have agreed parameters of what will be delivered. And I think in this day and age, there is a lot of systems and tools out there that will help you to put together something that someone can sign that is a legally binding thing that says this is what the obligations are.
Yeah.
And I know when I was starting out as a VA quite a few years ago, one of the main things that my mentor pushed at me was make sure that you have a contract in place because you're dealing with a lot of confidential data. There is, the clients will potentially lie, they will cut corners, there's a lot of stuff that will go wrong, and a contract protects you from the things that go wrong. It's not about, if everything's going great, that's wonderful, but a contract is really there to protect you when something goes wrong.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I still hear about people not having anything written down and signed by clients that is explaining what they're agreeing to. Um, and
At the
yeah,
very least, send them an email that says, that has bullet points, this, and this for this
yeah,
price, and have the client confirm by reply email. Like that
yeah.
is the bare minimum of what you need to have in place.
Yeah. And often I was very guilty of this. I worked outside of the parameters of what was being asked.
Mhm.
My curiosity hat came in and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Do you want me to have a look at that? Yes, that's great. And so I'd start to look at things beyond the remit because it made sense to me that it would tie in. But the clients didn't always recognize that it linked, like I guess this is the way my head works. Like I was looking at avenues that they hadn't thought about, but then at some point it was like, well, why did you do that? What do what's the point or purpose of this? They agreed that it was a good idea, but then didn't understand what it was. And
Mhm.
and often I think that then caused doubt. I think a lot of the times we want our clients to trust us to do the right thing by them. Um, and you're actively trying to help them and do good work, but I think doubt comes in when they don't understand what the goal of something is, or they haven't really paid enough attention to what you're trying to do or explaining to them, and then down the line they're like, well, I don't know what this is, what are you doing? So I think that there's often a point where you need clients to confirm that they understand what the direction is, or if you
Yeah.
need to change tack, make sure that they know why. And I
and
mean,
and especially when things change, or because this happens in projects, it just does,
yeah,
right? Like, but then um I've learned so much, like, document it, right? Like, even if you're on a Zoom call with someone and you're making new agreements, or you're saying like, oh, we're going to look at this for the benefit of that, like, put it in an email after, and say like, hey, this is how I understood what we agreed on the call. Is there anything I've missed? If there's anything, actually the sentence is, if there's anything I've missed, please let me know. Because if they don't let you know anything, that's them agreeing to the email, right? Words are important. But yeah, I think it's, part of this is, you have to be, the communication needs to be clear. You need to have check-ins, not just about the project, but also about how the project is going, right? And then if it doesn't work from either side, we need to be able to say, do you know what? This isn't working. We need to part ways. And it's hard. But at the same time, like, I had a business coach once who said some money is just too expensive to earn. Right. And that's what it is, because sometimes you lose so much energy on a client that it stops you from finding better clients. And so sometimes just cutting those ties is a much safer bet than exhausting yourself with this one client.